Hello and welcome. It's Frances here. If you're watching this on YouTube, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already done so, there's a subscribe button and a bell below if you wish to be notified when I upload more videos. If you're watching this on another platform, or if this is your first time on YouTube, well then I bid thee welcome. In this video, I'm just going to share my screen. I'm wanting to talk about the eclipses, because we have entered into eclipse season, and eclipses form when there is a relationship between the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon. But before I go any further, I would like to acknowledge country. I acknowledge the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains, who are the traditional custodians of the land upon which I'm doing this recording. And in doing so, I pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. So there's two sorts of eclipses. One is a solar eclipse and one is a lunar eclipse. And they're formed basically when the sun and the moon and the earth sort of cross their paths. So the solar eclipse happens when the moon actually moves between the earth and the sun, and it's almost like we see the sun being eaten up by the moon. And this has actually led to a number of folk stories around the world that talk about creatures or animals sitting there gobbling up the sun. So this is actually the solar eclipse, and it usually happens, or always happens, at a new moon. And we're just going to talk a little bit about this new moon because it's going to be occurring at the end of this month. I've got some notes in my book. It's going to be taking place here in Adelaide. There's a bit of a diagram. Don't know how well you can see that. Either on the 30th of April or the 1st of May. Adelaide, it's going to be the 1st of May, and it's going to be around about 4:15 a.m. But we're not going to see it where we are. So basically, we have the moon and the sun conjoined, and here they will be going to be in Taurus, and they're going to be 10 degrees of Taurus. What is interesting is that we also have Venus, there's Venus, and Jupiter at 27 degrees of Pisces. So I'm just going to read a little bit from these notes that I have, because both new moons are usually associated with abundance or manifestations, things that we're wanting to bring into our life. We're starting to plant the seeds for what we want to bring to fruition. Some people say by the next full moon, or by the next time the moon is full in the same astrological sign. So we're talking about Taurus, when the moon is going to be full in Taurus, and that's usually 6 to 9 months away. And I'm just having a quick look at my book, and we're going to have a full moon in Taurus. It will probably be next year, definitely not this year, and I haven't worked it out for next year. Anyway, so we've got the two going to be in conjoinment here. But what's interesting is this connection between Venus and Jupiter. Both these planets are known as the Great Maleficents because they come together. They are both in relation or represent abundance and bringing things into us to improve our lives. Venus naturally is in relation to, or relates to love, beauty, relationships, how we value our lives, which is quite interesting because that's also a Taurian trait. Venus actually rules Taurus. Sexuality, what we are receiving, what we need to receive, and what we need to shift through in order to receive. Jupiter, on the other hand, is all in relation to growth, expansion, optimism, financial growth, and also Venus rules financial wealth and abundance. So we've got this overlapping theme. New moon is the time to set intentions around what financial wealth or abundance you're wanting to bring into your life. It can also be a time for new relationships to take hold, not just intimate relationships, but friendships, work relationships, partnerships, commerce, that sort of thing. So when we get an eclipse on the new moon, it sort of brings another level into it as well. So it's not just all about abundance and manifesting. Some people say that the eclipse energy heightens the manifestation. Some people believe that it brings through a different challenge. And in particular here, I believe that in order for us to properly achieve things that we want to manifest, we actually have to let go of something or start preparing ourselves for letting go. And this is sort of heightened with Pluto here at 28 degrees of Capricorn. Now, Pluto in mythology is the lord of the underworld, lord of death, of endings as well. And so he's got this energy of letting go. It's the furthest, it's not even a planet these days, they call it a dwarf planet. So it's at the outer rim of our solar system. So it's also at an outer rim of our conscious mind, our energies, but doesn't mean that it doesn't have an impact. And it has a very underlying sort of root or chthonic aspect to it. So it's asking us or reminding us that eclipses come in pairs. This is a solar eclipse, so it's a perfect time to start bringing in abundance. So thinking about what we want to manifest and the direction that we're heading into. However, in order to achieve that, there are things that we're going to have to let go. And this is sort of leading us nicely into, or preparing us, so to speak, for the upcoming lunar eclipse. So you might already start feeling a little or some underworldly energies, or the need that there might be something you need to address in your life to actually let go. But this partial lunar eclipse, as I said, we're not going to see it in Adelaide, South Australia. We're not even going to see it in the Southern Hemisphere or a lot of places in the world. So this is from timeanddate.com, and it's going to be very southern. Like the best places you could see it will be Antarctica, southern South America. You'll start seeing some of the ending of the shadows in Chile, Argentina, bottom part of Bolivia, and even some of the, so it's Easter Island, because there's not many islands in this area here. And this is from Antarctica, looking up as to where the center part of the eclipse, because they do take a couple of hours from them to start to occur to their peak, and then they end at the other end. So Adelaide time, it'll start around about 4:15 a.m. on the, so that's on the 1st of May. The maximum where it will hit its peak, so where it reaches this area here, be around about 6:11 a.m. and it'll be finishing around about 8:07 a.m. on the 1st of May. Because of the international time zone dateline that goes through here, all of this will actually be happening on the 31st. So if you go into timeanddate.com, they'll actually give you, used to be Greenwich Mean Time, but the universal time calendar. So you can find out, especially if you're living in these areas, when you can actually see or experience the lunar eclipse. solar eclipse. Getting a little bit ahead of myself because we do also have a lunar eclipse coming up a few weeks later. Again, usually on the 15th or 16th of May. Here in Adelaide, it will actually be taking place on the 16th of May, round about 11 p.m. So that will be when it will start. So the lunar eclipse is the opposite. So it's when the Earth's shadow makes the moon disappear in the sky, or appear to disappear. But there will be a little bit of the sun's rays coming through, and this is why the moon often takes on a very reddish glow, and it's known as a blood moon. So this lunar eclipse is going to be completely different to the solar eclipse. Solar eclipse happens when the sun and moon are conjunct in the same sign, which is Taurus. And we've also got that overriding energy of Jupiter and Venus adding and supporting that energy of abundance. The lunar eclipse is completely different. The sun is going to be in Taurus, 25 degrees. The moon is exactly opposite in Scorpio. So we are almost hitting the nodes up. So lots of different interpretations in relation to this, but there seems to be an overriding theme that we are being called to let things die, be released, surrender, getting rid of things that no longer serve us or are needed in our lives anymore. It's like a clearing out of the closet, pulling up the weeds, finally getting rid of, doing a bit of decluttering, all those things we no longer want in our lives, things are past their use-by date. Also acknowledging that things are coming to an end. Due to the other planetary alignments, we've also got like Pluto in here as well. We've got Mercury, which is communications, just ahead of the sun. We can actually see the north node there. So the sun's just gone past the north node. This is all the future self. So again, it's all encouraging us to release, surrender, let go. It may even mean that difficult truths may be revealed in some way to re-encourage us that things are well and truly over, especially if it's something that we've been holding on to, almost being like we're seeing things through rose-tinted glasses. Something surprising or shocking may be coming up to the surface that it's sort of like the once and for all opportunity. And it is very important that we listen to this because we've got Saturn here. And Saturn is actually squaring both the moon and the sun. You can see this red line with the squares on it. And so with it squaring the moon and Scorpio, it also means that it is squaring our south node and also the north node. So these are the things that were brought in from a previous existence. So that's the south node work that we need to let go of, and also the new, or the north node, which is the new stuff that we're wanting to address and to move forward in this life. So we need to let go in order to allow this energy, new energies to come through. And there's also, we've got Uranus right here as well. So Uranus is often associated with new ideas, doing things a little bit differently. Sort of like Saturn is the last of the personal planets, the ones that are close to us, and then Uranus is the first of the ones that we can not see through from our naked eye. Saturn's the last planet that we can see from our naked eye. So we've got that sort of division, that push-pull between the old ideas that end up with Saturn, and Saturn is Cronus in mythology, which is, grandfather time. connected with slowing us down, making us work really hard, and ruling a death aspect. And then we've also got Pluto in here as well. There's Pluto, Lord of the Death, the underworld. So I've got these two big playing planets telling us that it's time to let go of things that no longer serve us, our karmic wounds. It's time to change and release. It's almost like we're really getting pushed to do this, to release and change the old karmic patterns that we do have and we're hanging on to. We have Mars here as well with Neptune. So Mars is very impatient, but it's almost like with his energy, he's shattering any illusions. Neptune can be associated with living in a fantasy world, being deluded, sort of not being in touch with reality. So Mars is almost like, again, smashing rose-tinted glasses, bringing us back to the here and now. So I guess overall, with a lot of the astrological charts and astrologers that I do follow, there is an overriding theme that this lunar eclipse could be a little bit rocky for some people, depending on where you are at in relation to letting go of the past, to open up new opportunities. If you've been hanging onto old habits, old ideas, if you're not used to change, it could actually be quite rocky to move through with this energy. If you are in the process of surrendering, of looking forward for bringing through fresh energies in your life, well, then you might have an easier sort of ride through with it. And there's just one more point that I wanted to note. So we've got Venus here in Aries, and this is also where Chiron is, and Chiron's not showing up on this chart, but Chiron is it's even asteroid or a dwarf planet. The astronomers aren't quite certain yet, but Chiron is the wounded healer, and these are the wounds that we bring through either from our south node from a previous life or from the depth of our shadow. And with Venus being conjunct of Chiron in 14 and 15 degrees of Aries, again, this is emphasizing that old karmic wounds from the past need to be released and to allow emotions in relation to this work to rise so it can be processed and move through your body. So this is where the lunar eclipse will be seen. Again, not really from us in Australia. So again, it's more of Antarctica, South America. This is the peak of it. And eastern states of America, most of Mexico. But throughout its journey, most of Africa, Europe, Canada, getting up even to Alaska, a little bit Alaska, and even New Zealand, you'll be able to see some of the lunar eclipse. It will, again, these are Adelaide times. It will start around about 11:02 a.m. The full eclipse will be 12:59 p.m. so in the afternoon, and it will end around about 4:20 p.m. So that's, I think I might have said 11:02 p.m. right at the beginning, but that's not correct. It's actually late morning, early afternoon. So that will be on the 16th of May for those of us in New Zealand and Australia, if we can see it. For the rest of the world, it's going to be on the 15th, the day before. So it's reminding us again to release, to let go. Just some normal stuff about me. Look at what's opening up, where we're feeling drawn to, for things to release. So the lunar eclipse could be a bit rocky. I might just stop sharing my screen. So the lunar eclipse could be a little bit rocky, especially if we aren't prepared to let go. If we are hanging on to things still that no longer serve us, and we've actually had this message for most of the last couple of years. If you've been looking at the planetary alignments, I've been making mention of it on a few videos that I've done over the last couple of years. So the solar eclipse coming up at the end of this month, April, 1st of May. It's more about sort of preparing ourselves for the solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse that's coming up. So at the solar eclipse, yes, it is still focused on manifestation, thinking of what you're wanting to bring into our life, in particular those sort of Venus-Taurian attributes, relationships, financial abundance, wealth, beauty, that sort of thing. But then also encouraging us to look at what we want to release when the lunar eclipse come around, because it might be a little bit rocky then. If it is, or you do find yourself really getting shaken up with the energies, it is good to look at the opposing sign, or again, focus a little bit on your breathing, the here and now, and sometimes just surrendering to go with the flow. I will probably do another video or link in the comment section here some other astrologers that I think you should check out if you want to know a little bit more about it, because I'm not an astrologer. But yeah, I just thought I'd share just a few pointers of these upcoming eclipses to prepare ourselves. So with that on board, have a wonderful rest of the day and blessings.